Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. You know, for a dead franchise, there have been a lot of new Star Fox games in the last 2 years. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Retro's rumored Star Fox racing game. And then on Thursday, come back for that because we are going to be predicting E3, all of it $1 million bet. Right, Mark?
Absolutely.
Absolutely $1 million bet. Let's just loop back around on this Star Fox thing for a second. Just a brief second, because it is worth pointing out that Star Fox Zero and Star Fox Guard came out just a little over 2 years ago, April 21st, 2016. And Star Fox 2 came out on the Super NES Classic like a year ago.
Nuts.
And so now we've got like the rumor of another one coming out. We're lousy with Star Fox games.
Yeah, and I really consider it like I'm pretty sure I've said on this show, this is a franchise that we're not going to see another game from a long time.
But we just keep seeing
Star
Fox
seeing them.
games.
Yeah, and every time they come out, I just forget about them immediately.
Mm-hmm. Also, what if there's like a Star Fox mobile game that comes out too? Like all of these things are possible.
Yeah.
We could just keep getting Star Fox.
I mean, it seems like we're going to.
Right, so buckle up for that. Before we get started, guys, we need you to help us out. We need some reviews on Apple Podcasts. Mark, how many new reviews on Apple Podcasts did we have this last week?
I am sad to report
no.
that we had no
new
reviews this week.
No new reviews this week. So thank you
in
for
the
everyone.
US store.
That's right. There could be other ones elsewhere. And of course, if you are reviewing us elsewhere, tweet at us or email us. Let us know that you did it, and we'll shout you out on the show. You can tweet at us at NinCart Society or send us an email, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. That's also a good way for you to put in a request for guest weather. We got no reviews. We got no requests. No guest weather. I'm sorry, these are just
nobody
the rules.
cheat and just like Google a place.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Do not get your guest weather news from a source that is not us. How would you even know if it was guest or not?
You wouldn't.
That may be the person's home weather.
Yeah, very low ups for that idea.
I would even say downs. Downs to that idea. All right. Another thing that you can do with that email address is you can participate in we are going to be determining what is the best Pokemon starter. You know, at the beginning of every Pokemon game, you get to pick from 3 Pokemon. Say who's going to be your buddy this whole game. Who's the best one of those?
Let us know by writing in. You can tweet at us.
Yes, you can tweet us at NinCart Society. The Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society.
And here's the thing. If you really, if you don't care, but you just really want to throw a certain Pokemon under the bus, you can do that too.
Right. So if you have, or if you have one that you really want to champion, we got an email from Dustin. He's got a pick that he's defending pretty vigorously. So thank you, Dustin. Everyone else?
Is it Pikachu?
I will not disclose that information.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mark, is your favorite starter Pikachu?
Not for the purposes of this show.
That's very good. All right. So yes, if you have any of that, please send us an email, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Kind of following up on our twin episodes from last week, I finished South Park: The Fractured But Whole this weekend.
How many hours do you think you put into it?
Over 20. The game ended up being longer than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought for sure it was going to clock in at as I was playing through it, and just knowing that it lasts 3 days, 3 game days, and then there's a little bit more into the 4th day. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm getting right to the end of this game. On Saturday night, I was kind of cruising towards what I assumed was the end at 8 o'clock at night. And then I didn't go to bed until 1:30 because I had to finish the game. I really enjoyed my experience with it. I did encounter the there's a bug where the game just like hard crashes every time. You're like going in to start a mission with Call Girl, and it just crashes every time. And like right at the end, there's a series of like kind of boss fights or like cool like callback fights. And I had two different occasions, like within the last maybe hour and a half of gameplay, where it either froze up on me or just failed.
Oh, bummer.
So like the game is a little bit broken right now. Ubisoft has said that they're going to patch it, but like right now it's kind of busted.
So were there just missions you weren't able to do?
So there was one mission I was not able to do. And the other crashes, like I just did that part of the game again. Like there was one where it's like it's a big boss. You fight like a big giant, mutated something or other. I'm not gonna spoil what it is because it's very good and made me laugh a lot when I encountered it. But like did the whole fight, and then in the little cinematic afterwards, it crashed. And then I was like, all right. And so like turned the game back on. I was like, I hope it auto saved after that fight. No, sure didn't. So I had to do it all again.
When we talked about Doom, I can't remember if I talked about that, like the last boss in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I like beat it and then it glitched out and never like actually went into a death state.
Yes.
And so I had to like start the game. I had to like do that fight over again. It's annoying. It's always annoying.
It's super, yeah. And the absolute final fight in the game, there was another like glitch state there where I performed a move and my character just like it's like one where he throws his body at your opponents, and he just sort of like kept flying through the air, and it just like the move never ended, and I was like, what? So I had to do it all again. So I don't know. I enjoyed South Park a lot. I feel like it's still broken. The game is on sale right now, or maybe not on sale so much as just like permanently reduced in price or something. But
maybe worth picking up, but not at a reduced price, but not playing until it's patched.
That would be my advice. Is if you're interested in South Park, you pick it up now and wait until they patch it. And they just have to at this point, I think. Did you go back to Donkey Kong?
Yeah, so I haven't finished it, but I you and I got a lot further into it than I remembered. Like as I continue to play, I'm like, oh, I've seen this before, and it was because you and I had gone that far.
Yes. Well, you and I did a couple different sessions of that game. That's one that we've returned to back on the Wii U.
But I am at DK Island right now.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing is towards the end of the game. And I've been doing all like the secret levels and all that kind of stuff. Man, it's so good. It's really fun. I feel like the music is good in it, but like the real bangers were earlier in the game.
Yeah, there's some real good tunes early in that game.
And then I've of course been playing Stardew Valley because that's just like a thing I do with my life now.
Right.
Yeah. It's great. I have no complaints. Like
When's that multiplayer coming out on Switch?
Who knows? It's in beta on PC right now. So maybe this summer?
Come to Switch. So I've also been playing or I played a little bit of the BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle demo, which is available now if you don't want to spend any money on a fighting game on Switch. The game's sort of a mess. It is, I guess, a BlazBlue game. So if you like BlazBlue games, that's how it plays. There are two basic attack buttons and a third attack button that is like it's called your crush button. And I'm having a little bit of a hard time wrapping my head around it just because it's a fighting game where I don't have like any anchor. I don't have experience with earlier entries in the game, and I don't even recognize the characters from like the various franchises that they're pulling from. So like,
is it Are all BlazBlue games a crossover?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So BlazBlue, I believe to be a just fighting game series. I've done no research on this, so I'm just off the cuff here. And then like there are some Persona 4 Arena characters in there, and Persona 4 Arena is like the fighting game that spun out of Persona 4, itself a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei. So Yeah, and then there are other, like, when you go to the character select screen, you can see what franchise they're from, as you're selecting these characters. But it's all very frantic, and like the backgrounds go crazy all the time. Like as soon as you start combos are super easy. You can just jam on like the basic attack button, and you're performing a combo, and the background is like colors and lights, and it all just gets very insane very fast. One thing that I found to be super compelling about the game is the like sort of online rooms, because you can go into these big. It's like a giant arena, and you have this little avatar that's like walking around, and you can actually see like two people standing on like, or two other avatars that are, you know, controlled by people, like standing on little fight pads, like they're in an arcade together
Oh,
playing
that's
against
fun.
each other. So like I don't know, there's just something very neat about seeing like, oh, that guy just got out of a fight. I'm gonna hop in over there. And even though it's like a totally superficial thing, it felt communal, you
Yeah,
know.
I like that.
So that was fun. But I don't think I'm gonna pick up this game when it actually comes out. The art style is very strange to me. The All the characters are, you know, drawn in like anime style, but they're sort of pixely. Like the black outline of the anime character is like pixely, and then it's colored in as anime would be. So it doesn't really look like pixel art. You know, like pixel art has that sort of like level of detail to it, like Street Fighter 2 sort of. But this is like a weird combination of doesn't really look pixely, doesn't really look anime. It's like kind of a gross mashup of the two that like I just can't wrap my head
It
around for
sounds
whatever reason.
weird.
It's
My
weird,
my
yeah.
only exposure to BlazBlue previously was my friend had one of the entries on the PS3.
Yeah, sure.
But never super being into fighting games. It just looked like a fighting game to me.
Yes, and I mean, for I am someone who is into fighting games, and this looks to me what I imagine other fighting games look like to normal people.
Where it's just
Where
chaos.
yeah, where it's like chaos, and you're like, how are you following this? Like it makes Marvel versus Capcom look like tame and normal, right? It's crazier than that. And then this evening, I was playing a little bit of Pokemon Crystal because you know, we're doing this who's the best starting Pokemon, and I have very little experience with non-Gen 1 and non-Gen 7. So I spent a little time in the second generation. My starter is the Totodile, who is like a little water crocodile. The other starters, do you know the other starters from that generation?
No.
So there's Chikorita, which is, I don't know what kind of animal it's supposed to be, but it looks like it's on four legs, and it's the leaf type. And then there's the Cyndaquil, which is the fire porcupine. And I'm starting to feel like I should have gone with the fire porcupine.
Just like ability wise.
Yeah, just because I have not encountered any other catchable fire Pokemon at this point, but I have encountered
Oh.
other water types and other grass types. So I'm like, this is a real type I'm missing here.
Did you choose this crocodile because of aesthetics?
Yes.
Let beauty fades, Patrick.
I know it
Beauty
does. I
fades.
know it does. But diamonds are forever? What are we saying here?
Never say never again.
There we go. All right, Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, May 15th, on the 3DS, Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux
Speaking of Shin Megami Tensei.
is being released. This is a remake of a DS game, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I've ever played one of these games before. I've never played one to the end, like all
Yeah.
the way through, at the very least. This seems like an interesting starting point, if for me, in that it has, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but there's like 4 difficulty modes, and one of them is like baby mode.
Ooh.
And I'm super into baby modes for games right now. That like for franchises, especially one like this, that I feel like Shin Megami Tensei has a reputation for being a little bit difficult to get into. Like Persona's like the fun version of this franchise.
Yes.
Like the more approachable version of this franchise. And
Do you think it's game difficulty that makes them hard to get into, or like lore?
Well, I'm pretty sure they are. It's like Persona or like Final Fantasy, where it's not like you need to have played the other ones in order to understand these.
Yeah.
I think maybe like the uh, subject matter, for lack of a better term, is maybe like darker in Shin Megami Tensei. Not that Persona doesn't get dark.
No, Persona starts dark. You were here playing
Yeah.
the first like couple hours of Persona 5 with me. It goes to dark places real early.
Like almost immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to be picking this up only because right now I don't really have the time to sink into like a big RPG, especially on the 3DS, especially at like paying Atlas prices. Luckily for me, if I ever want to pick it up in the future, I have been buying my games digitally, so basically, if you are considering buying this one and you buy games physically, you should try to pick this up as soon as possible, because word on the street is that it is very
short supply.
limited.
That's interesting.
And then on Thursday, on the Switch eShop, the Faerun collection comes out. Banner Saga. Is that Banner Saga 1?
Yeah,
it's
the first one.
Okay. Because 2 is coming also, and then 3 is also coming at some point.
3 is the new one,
right? I don't think it's out anywhere yet.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to pick up Banner Saga. I don't know why, but I've been like getting myself excited about this. I'm interested in having I'm just interested in having like a cool storytelling experience that I can carry over. And when Banner Saga 3 is new, I want to have had like the experience with those characters in that world and stuff. I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be cool.
And then on Friday, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition comes out, which
does.
For some reason I thought that was later in the month. I'm not picking it up. Like, it doesn't interest me at all. But man, there's a lot happening in May.
Yeah, and then like the Mega Man games come out the week after. So
yeah, and then the Street Fighter 30th anniversary is like right around the corner as well.
Yeah, it is. Mark,
it's a good time to be alive.
It is. I still got to figure out where I'm going to pick up that Street Fighter game. If I'm going to do it on the PlayStation or on Switch.
You have a fighting stick for PlayStation.
I have 2. I have 2 fight sticks for the PlayStation. So it seems like that's what I got to do.
I mean, it makes the most sense to me, but I'm on the outside looking in.
You could take it on the go. I'm going to buy this game twice. I just know I'm going to buy this game twice.
You should just buy it twice.
I'm going to set out to buy it once, and we'll see what happens. All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today we are going to be discussing foods that we don't like, but we wish that we did. You threw out this topic, so did you have something in mind?
Sure. The first thing that comes to mind are beets.
Okay.
I wish I liked beets because they're incredibly healthy for you.
Superfood.
And they have, there's like...
Are all purple foods superfoods?
I don't know, but that seems to be a popular color for superfoods. Now, are blueberries a superfood, or are they just...
high in antioxidants?
Yeah.
I don't know. If anyone has more information about purple foods or whether or not blueberries are a superfood, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com.
But yeah, like beet salads. Beets are in everything. There's different colored beets. And I wish I liked them, but I don't. Purple. Yeah. I think they're super gross. Radishes also up there.
See, now, okay. I was just talking to a friend about radishes, and she was saying that she loves them. Like, will eat a radish like an apple with some like salted butter.
I'm jealous.
It seems crazy, doesn't it?
I can't relate at all.
Like I also cannot relate at all, but I also don't like. I think the only time I encounter radishes is when they're like sliced into those like thin discs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced I've only had them wrong. This is how you would have it on a salad, which is mostly other stuff.
Yeah, I see, because I don't like raw onion, but like I like grilled onions. So I wonder if you grilled up some radishes, if I would be fine with it.
Yeah, let's make some radish rings or something. I like onion rings.
Yeah, that's probably be really gross, so we should try doing that.
We will try it later. Beets. I like beets when they are less wet. And I don't know how this is accomplished, but sometimes you have a beet and it's like it's wet. It's like, I guess maybe it's a like slightly pickled or something. Again, I don't really know what a beet looks like in the wild. I just know what it looks like when it's on my plate. And
Do you mean like when you mean wet? Do you mean like it's gelatinous a little bit?
a little bit, yeah. It's got it, yeah, has that kind of weird, gross consistency. But I've also had beets that are like more firm and almost like I guess almost like apple-like in texture, and that I like a lot more. Um, I think king among the foods that I'm like, ugh, I just hate encountering it, and it would be so much easier if I was just like, yum, 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 is olives.
Oh yeah.
Like I can deal with olives if like they're on a pizza, but only if they're one of like four other ingredients. If I don't know, sometimes I'll be eating something and discover that there's olives in it, and I'm just like, I just want this to stop.
Is it categorically like? Do you like
Yeah.
black olives or
No.
like Greek olives? Because for me, like the like neon green ones with the red.
The pimento?
Yeah. Oh, those are so gross.
Yeah.
But like black olives
Nope.
and I don't even know if they actually are really called Greek olives that show up in salads sometimes. I'm okay with.
None of them do anything for me. If there is an olive cart in a grocery store, I can't be over there because the smell is too much. And I'm like, oh, I got to get away from
Okay,
got to get away from these olives.
Now olives are. What about olive oil?
Olive oil, I feel like doesn't taste like olives.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
I'm also not like guzzling olive oil.
well, you're not looking to pack on some calories or something.
I mean, not usually.
What about olive oil, the Popeye character?
I don't care for her either. Frankly,
It's an unforgiving role.
it is. And she should pick. She should pick either Bluto or Popeye.
Well, she is always picking Popeye.
No,
she captures her, right?
No, she is frequently like Bluto's girlfriend.
Oh.
Those old Popeye cartoons are weird. Popeye murders people. He punches their souls out of their body.
Fun. It's fine. Yeah.
Do you have other foods that you wished you liked more than you did?
Pasta in general.
That's interesting.
I wish I like really loved pasta, but I don't.
I feel like most people have the opposite, where they're like, I just wish I didn't like pasta so much.
Don't get me wrong. I love carbs. Like I love bread. Like no. Give me all that bread.
Right.
But
classic sign that you love something. No.
But for some reason, I guess we'll never know.
I guess we will never know. We were accompanied today by the Brussels Chamber Choir. Thank you, Brussels Chamber Choir. All right, Mark, let's get into the news. There's a lot of it.
All right, so last week we speculated that the Switch online service and the NES games with online capabilities that are coming with that means the end of Virtual Console as we know it. And it turns out that is the case.
Nailed it. We nailed it. Mark, let's take this moment to celebrate the fact that we nailed it.
Hail the conquering heroes.
What are we doing? Were we doing Aladdin in that? I think it's Aladdin we're doing.
Yeah, but like that's. Oh yeah, maybe it is. You're right.
But yeah,
you're right. No.
May Robin Williams rest in peace.
R.I.P. Okay, so Nintendo said, quote, there are currently no plans to bring classic games together under the Virtual Console banner, as has been done on other Nintendo systems, end quote. However, GameStop did get a little more out of a Nintendo rep who told them that there are a variety of ways in which classic games from Nintendo and other publishers are made available on Nintendo Switch, such as through the Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online, which is the new program that we were talking about, Nintendo eShop, or as packaged collections.
Just quick correction on that. It's GameSpot, not GameStop.
Oh, thank you. Yes, of course.
It's an impossible thing. That I can't believe that one of these things didn't flinch and change its name. But yeah, GameSpot. So I think that really just means that we don't have that name anymore.
Yeah.
Of Virtual Console. They're still gonna re-release old games or put them in packages or whatever, and I think we'll still see other old games again.
I think you're totally right.
Just not called Virtual Console.
Ubisoft is running a sale on their Nintendo Switch software until May 20th. So like Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Gold edition is $50.39 instead of $79.99. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, just the regular editions, down to like $40. Rayman Legends is $25. Monopoly's 20. Uno is 7. So it's a good time to get some of these Ubisoft games.
Especially because Mario Rabbids is a real good game. I'm interested in picking up Rayman Legends because I think I played Origins and liked that one.
They all have the most generic names.
Yeah, I mean, yes. But I like those games.
Yeah, I played the demo for Legends, and I think the art style is really nice. The type of platforming, or like the platforming didn't feel like super like smart to me. Smart's not the right word, just like really like crisp.
Sure.
But I think it's a beautiful game. Like it looks awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also probably a game that the deeper it goes and the more challenging it is, the better the game is.
For sure. And I also played it for like 20 minutes.
Right.
You know?
I'm just saying your first impression was wrong. I don't even know if that's true. I don't
Look, I'm an idiot. I know it.
But Monopoly, it is $20, was 40. Do you remember seeing the Monopoly in like a Nintendo Direct or something like that and being like, what?
Yeah, and
$40?
they show it without the Joy-Con. You know, you just like put the tablet down on the table as a
just as a tablet.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Like as the game board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then
Here's the thing. I do like Monopoly. I like to play Monopoly, especially when you're like actually playing the game. I feel like anytime that you sit down and play Monopoly with just like real people and a real board, the temptation is to be like, oh, you don't have to pay me all that money because you want people to be able to play, right? But if you just play it like it's a game, then it becomes more fun, like instantly more fun. We've trained ourselves to not like Monopoly. I'm saying I may throw down $20 and become Monopoly.
Okay. Rumor time. And this is the big one.
The apocalypse?
Yeah. Yep. There's a leak making the rounds. It like originated on Reddit
and 4chan.
And but has since been corroborated by other sources such as IGN, Eurogamer, Kotaku.
Mm-hmm.
That the game that Retro Studios is working on is a new Star Fox game called Star Fox Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
That is a combination of Diddy Kong Racing, meaning that it has like a story mode and boss battles, and F-Zero.
And like an open world.
And like an open world,
a hub world.
And like F-Zero. What I've been reading, like the longer the day has gone on, is that calling it a spin-off is kind of a misnomer. It would be like calling Metroid Prime a spin-off of Metroid, where it's like, yes, but this is supposedly like Retro's take on what a Star Fox game could be.
That's interesting. And I think that's fair. Like that is a branching path where we are like there are Metroid games and there are Metroid Prime games.
Sure, I feel like spin-off sometimes has the connotation of like
Link's
Federation Force,
yeah.
Or like or even Diddy Kong Racing,
sure.
Where you're like, oh, this is not the real thing. This is just like a side thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you could argue that Mario Kart is also a spin-off that turned into a super successful franchise.
Yeah, I just don't think that we should put the like spin-off connotation on this game.
Got it.
Because there's already so much like negative stigma around it.
I mean, Frasier was a spin-off from Cheers.
Right, and Frasier's beloved.
We love Frasier. Right? Do we love Frasier?
I mean, the little bit I've seen seems fine. Okay, so
let's talk about this. What do you believe?
I believe it's true.
Do you think we see this game at Nintendo's E3 presentation? I understand that we're not to our predicting E3 episode yet.
Yes, I do.
Do you think it comes out this year?
I do think it comes out this
year. What?
Yeah.
That would be insane. In a year where mind you, other than Smash, I feel like there aren't like huge things coming to Switch this year, and there haven't really been huge things yet. So maybe that does make sense. But it just, for something as big and as crazy as what we're describing, it would surprise me to get like so little advance notice and then it's out this year.
Yeah, I don't think so. I feel like that's fairly typical of Nintendo.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, I guess I say that, but or I guess there are no rules with Nintendo is more
Great point.
the right thing to say, because they've announced Metroid Prime 4 for question mark, question mark, question mark.
Right.
But then they also have announced games and like release them almost immediately. So I feel like it could go either way. But it would not surprise me if it's a title for this year.
Are you excited for this game?
I am excited, or I'm super interested in a rethought Star Fox.
Sure.
Because Star Fox as a franchise is not one that I feel any affinity towards the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true of a lot of people, where Nintendo fans love the idea of a new Star Fox game, but don't like the actual new Star Fox games that come out.
Yeah, I mean, there arguably hasn't really been a like Star Fox game really worth playing since like 64, right? And that game, I guess there's the 3D remake, which also I'm sure is worth playing. And I've heard like some faint praise of Assault.
And Command, the DS one.
Command is okay. I've played it. The idea of that game where you're like plotting out your various like fighters' paths on the touch screen is really cool. But then when you get into the individual battles, a lot of those are samey and boring. So like the action part of it isn't fun, but the boring part of it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, I mean, just at the beginning of the show, we were saying that there have been 3 Star Fox games already that came out in the last 2 years, and they're all really, not great. They're not great games.
Yeah, when you said that to me, it really blew my mind, because I think of Star Fox as a dead franchise.
Yeah.
Like we talked about. That clearly not the case. There have
Right.
been a lot of Star Fox games.
Been a lot. Yeah, and this will be one more.
Yeah, so on the internet there has been quite a bit of like disappointment that
Look, it's been a long time since what did we used to say to the internet? We used to tell it to calm down.
or like get over itself, or just like a general boo.
Yeah, that's right. So general boos. We're taking all of the boos away that we would normally apply to like Capcom or Square Enix probably, and just applying it generally to the internet. I don't know. Is it because people want another Metroid Prime from Retro?
No, I think what it is that people, because Metroid Prime is like a beloved franchise.
Yeah.
And the Retro at that time developed it. Some people have it in their head that it's like, what Retro really wants to be doing is working on like a new IP that's hardcore and like serious.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the same thing as like the Rare argument of like, oh, Rare should be making collectathon, like open world, they should be making Banjo-Kazooie again, or whatever. But it's like, no, that team changes, different people. It has a different identity than it used to.
Yeah, like the Retro that made Metroid Prime doesn't exist anymore.
No, they made Halo 5, right?
Yeah,
basically.
The Retro team that made Donkey Kong, like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze, that team doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Like game studios have so much churn and turnover, and game studios aren't like a mono. They don't.
Yes.
They're not an entity unto themselves.
Right.
Right. Like Retro does. When we talk about Retro, we talk about a collective of artists.
Yeah.
That
are like sharing an aesthetic or resources. I guess "and" is what I meant. It's silly to think that they would want to like go back to that now,
or that they're like making something against their will.
Yeah.
Like they're being coerced into like making this game,
right? And also, like, even if you do want to have that, like, retro is retro, and they've made Metroid Prime and they've made Donkey Kong Country games, and that's what they're qualified to do. Isn't a Star Fox like racing game the natural collision of those two franchises? Like, you take the big dumb monkeys and you put them in space and you get Star Fox.
Well, and I feel like even with like acknowledging that Retro is a totally different team, overseen by a totally different team from Nintendo that made Metroid Prime, I think there is something, if you are a fan of Retro's work, and I think even though the games they made have been very different, like the franchises they touched have been very different, they've done an amazing job with both of them.
Yeah.
And like they took Metroid, a kind of dead franchise, and reinvented it for something.
Sure.
So I'm super excited to see what they have in store for Star Fox, a franchise that could totally use that.
Yep. I'm always excited to see what they're going to do, and I am one of those people who is interested in Star Fox as a franchise, even though I don't much like playing those games.
Yeah,
so I'm there. I'm going to show up for it.
I think that David Wise has been working with Retro, and so if he's doing music for this, that just like
that's great.
Really increases my excitement. So yeah, I would imagine we see this at E3. It's been a while since Tropical Freeze was originally released on the Wii U.
February 2014.
Kotaku in their story about Star Fox Grand Prix is also reported that Retro has been developing or was developing another title, but that game was in a rocky state and may have been canceled. Nobody really knows.
Mysterious.
Nintendo's announced that the Mario Tennis Aces pre-launch online tournament that they I think talked about at the last Direct will be taking place June 1st to June 3rd. That's only the Japanese date has been announced, but operating under the assumption that it'll be around that time here in the West as well. The demo will be available for download starting May 25th, again in Japan, but presumably around that same time. Has to be pretty soon. That game comes out next month, so...
Yes. Wow. We're just cruising through the year here. Just hurtling towards...
Oblivion.
Yes.
Death. Devolver Digital is teaming up with Mega Cat Studios and Take This to release a brand new Super Nintendo game, Fork Parker's Crunch Out.
Yeah, so Fork Parker's Crunch Out is a game that highlights the dangers of crunch in the video game development, and all of the proceeds go to Take This. And Take This is a nonprofit that provides like information about mental health issues and resources to developers and people working in the game sphere, because crunch is one of those things that we've kind of just regarded as like a necessary evil in the industry, but totally leads people to burning out and wrecking their families and stuff like that. So the game is meant to be a like fundraiser to get more money to Take This. It is a Super Nintendo game in a Super Nintendo cartridge.
I love that that's like a thing that happens all the time now.
Yeah. We've got some the little paragraph from their PR people about the game goes, Fork Parker's Crunch Out is a classic arcade-style game featuring the notorious developer Devolver Digital's CFO as he bootstraps a ragtag group of game developers from a downtrodden garage studio to a high-rise megacorporation, using only his love of profit and questionable motivation tactics. Deadlines are not to be missed, and Fork will use any and all methods of encouragement to keep his team focused and productive as they work to get their next big hit out on time and hit their bonuses, which are unfortunately tied to the game's critical reception. So it's obviously like a tongue-in-cheek. You're playing a CEO, like slave driver of a developer guy, and I'm curious to know what the arcade style like action is in this. So I pre-ordered one of these because it's a good cause, and I want a Super Nintendo cartridge that I can pop into my Super NT. If you want to pick up yours or pick up a copy for yourself, it's $49.99, or there's a limited edition for $149.99. But it sounds like they're only printing like 1,000 of these things anyway, so I don't know what makes one limited edition and the other one less limited. But if you're interested in any of that, you can go to Devolver Digital's Twitter. I don't know what that is. Just go to Twitter and search for Devolver Digital.
NES Classic Editions are coming back to stores in North America and Europe on June 29th. So we have a date.
Mark, do we know if controllers are also coming out?
No.
I would love to pick up a second.
We don't.
NES controller.
My assumption is that they will, but
they'll still be impossible to find.
Or maybe they won't bring them out at all. Like I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they won't. I mean, they barely put them out in the first place.
Yeah.
Remember the store that I went to had 49 NES Classics and 3 extra controllers.
It wouldn't surprise me if they find more of an equilibrium
Sure.
this time around. The SNES Classic, since its release, has had fairly, especially in the more recent months, has had pretty steady restocks, like on
Yeah.
Amazon and GameStop online, like pretty much every week.
Yeah.
They're getting more, so it'd be nice if the NES
Mhm.
Classic Edition gets into that cadence as well.
Yeah, there was a little, and they're saying that they expect to continually restock them through the end of the year. But yeah, there was a little bit where like I saw someone tweeting that they were, or that the Super Nintendos were available, and it was a tweet that I saw like hours later, and they were still there. So I mean, they again sell out, but there are entire windows of hours, possibly even a whole day, where you can find these things.
In Japan, a special edition of the Famicom Classic is being released to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the manga magazine Weekly Jump. Rather than the 30 games that appear in the original version of the Famicom Classic, this version has 20 games featuring characters from manga, including Dragon Ball Z. It's gold. It's literally gold.
It's gold.
Uh-huh.
It's gold in color.
Golden anniversary. No plans to release in the West. Makes sense. And yeah, it's almost a little bit weird to me that this is the first like special edition, classic edition that we have seen.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I was theorizing before the Super NES was announced. I was like, no. Well, we need to, and did we even do an episode on it? Maybe we even did an episode on like, oh, they should just put out an NES Classic 2 that just has 30 different games on it, or 30 more games on it, or something like that. But yeah, I love the idea of making like getting a collection of games in on a theme. We were excited about that Disney Afternoon Classic, or what was it called? Just Disney Afternoon
Collection, I think.
Yeah, collection. And if there was like a special like Disney edition NES Classic, like
totally,
I would be there for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Can you think of any other like kinds or like any other special editions of NES Classic would be cool?
Even you could just do like thematically, like you'd be like a sports one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Platformers only RPG. Square Enix SNES Classic Edition.
Oh yeah,
gangbusters.
I mean, even if there are only like 10 games on it,
yeah,
they're all Stone Cold classics and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
In a separate announcement, Nintendo revealed a new adjustable charging stand for the Switch to be released on July 13th for $20. The stand features a port on the side for an AC adapter, so you can like charge while playing in tabletop mode. This is mostly noteworthy to me because I always forget the tabletop mode is even a thing.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Like, why put it in your hands or put it on the TV? Don't put it on the table.
I mean, I guess again for local multiplayer makes a lot of sense, but I haven't played it that way a bunch.
I guess that is
Undocked.
the like the bar scenario or the restaurant or like,
but nieces and nephews. And
yeah,
like, yeah.
But always for that, I'm like, you don't want to carry like another thing with it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some people do.
Maybe they do.
Former Bandai Namco software engineer who now allegedly works at Nintendo tweeted last week that he left Bandai Namco before development of Smash Bros. Switch began, but that he created the rendering engine it's running on. So this would mean the Bandai Namco is working on Smash Bros. Switch, which I guess I was already assuming because they worked on the Wii U and 3DS iterations.
Yeah, I mean, why would you not keep that going forward if they have the know-how and have demonstrated that they can make what is essentially like the definitive version of this game, like just let them keep doing it.
We also know that Bandai Namco has a number of original Switch titles in development, including the rumored Ridge Racer 6 that they said they will start releasing / announcing this summer.
Yeah, and Bandai Namco is going to be in the Switch game for the long haul. So yeah, not really not really a surprise, but all good information to have.
Also this week, Capcom announced Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is coming to the Switch on August 28th. This is the game that was released last year in Japan as Monster Hunter Double Cross, like Switch Edition or whatever they called it. Mm-hmm. There's a 3DS version of the game that I played the demo for, talked about in some episode way back. And so now it's getting localized, and if you played the 3DS version, you'll be able to transfer that save to the Switch.
So obviously you sampled it for a little bit on 3DS. Do you think there's any chance for you to go back and like try to play Monster
I
Hunter
honestly think
here?
if I was going to get a Monster Hunter game,
You'd go World?
I would do World. Yeah.
There's been a lot of buzz around Monster Hunter World. Obviously not a Switch game, but we have these other beautiful boxes sitting under our TVs that we want to play things on.
Beautiful boxes.
Beautiful boxes.
Inti Creates revealed Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon for Switch and 3DS and a bunch of other platforms coming May 24th. So soon. It's an 8-bit Castlevania 3 riff versus like the PSX era inspired game the full Bloodstained promises to be. I am so into this.
Bloodstained, just to quick catch up if you're not familiar with it, is the game that is being designed by Ikaruga, one of the main guys behind Castlevania originally. He's basically just making Castlevania again because Konami won't let him. And so then there's this 8-bit version of it, which is coming to all these other platforms. Super cool. It's coming out ahead of actual Bloodstained.
And it's just $10.
Great.
I'm very excited. As much as I like the DS and Game Boy Advance and Symphony of the Night, the first 4 games are like my favorite type of Castlevania.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for more of that. They also showed off Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger 9 IX. It's a new entry in like the Gunvolt series.
Inti Creates is just pumping out games.
Yeah, and they have been selling well.
Yeah.
So it's great. They, again, with like the Gunvolt series is very much like Mega Man. So they're basically like filling the void.
Right, until Mega Man 11 comes out.
Japanese magazine Koro Koro included a tease about some Splatoon news to be released on June 9th. This tease, basically the scan of the magazine or the magazine, whatever it is, the ad, the tease for the announcement, claims that it will shock the world.
The world, Mark.
But then there was like a counter rumor to this that
it's been a weird week.
Yeah, like a Spanish video game site reached out to Nintendo, and Nintendo said that it was a baseless rumor, but the scan does actually exist, so maybe there will be some earth-shattering Splatoon 2 news, maybe there won't.
Right. I mean, but there was also like further confusion when the scan originally surfaced. People thought it was from Weekly Jump, which we were just referred to earlier with the NES 50th anniversary edition thing. It was actually Koro Koro. So look, maybe there's some big news about Splatoon 2 coming out on June 9, and maybe there isn't.
I mean, maybe it's just detailed information about the expansion.
Or maybe it's just detailed information about like the tournament that they're having at E3 like 2 days later.
Right.
So, yeah. And also like shock the world. It might be like shocks the world of Splatoon 2. Like, oh yeah, those Squid Kids are going to be really racked up about something.
Speaking of Splatoon 2, Donatello was victorious in last weekend's Splatfest. That means he's going up against Raph in the finals this Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Now, which one is your boy?
Both of my boys have not advanced to the second round.
Oh wow! So you don't care at all.
I don't care at all. We'll not be checking back in on this.
Well, finally.
I mean, hold on. Don't get me wrong. We will report on it. Who won. And all I'm saying, who do I like better, Donatello or Raphael? Donatello. Gotta go Raphael on this one. Sorry, Donnie.
I'm really rooting for him. Finally, in news continually just designed to infuriate Patrick. As part of an increased focus on indie games in Japan by Nintendo, it was revealed that Pocket Rumble will be released on Switch in Japan sometime.
Okay.
Eventually.
Now, hold on. Why does this infuriate me? Because the game is coming to Japan.
I think just because they keep mentioning this game without giving any concrete information. It's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll release Pocket Rumble in Japan. Well, when is it coming out? Sometime, eventually, maybe.
Pocket Rumble and Wargroove. I can't believe these games aren't out yet. Like, these are both games that were teased in the original Nindy showcase before the Switch came out.
It's got to be something with online for Pocket Rumble.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It's got to be something with online.
Yeah, that like 100% it has to be. But also, like, there are other fighting games that are coming out. Like there was a Street Fighter game already, and the netcode for that works just fine. And this is using GGPO, which is like a good fighting game online client as it is. So like, what? I don't obviously video games are very complicated to make. Online fighting games infrastructure, blah 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 blah. But like, why isn't this game out yet?
Very weird.
All right, well, you're right. It does infuriate me. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that will do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. That was a lot of news, Mark. I think we did a great job.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hail the Conquering Heroes.
Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you want to mention Hail the Conquering Heroes in your review, we'll give you a nice little shout out, possibly some ups, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Big ups. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell. And collectively, we are at Nincart Society. We're on Facebook. It's Nintendo Cartridge Society there. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can check out more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers describing us as a cross between Diddy Kong Racing and the other one, F-Zero. And thanks for listening.
Campfire.